Hey, it's Sunday morning, and that means it is time to do Mio and MMA review of UFC Charlotte slash USC on ABC 4 slash UFC Rozenstruik versus Almeida or Jairzinho versus Jailton. It's a card of many names, but not a lot of substance. um, not to say that this was a bad card. There was some good stuff here. The co-main event was fairly reasonable. It wasn't what I hoped it would be, but it was reasonable. Ian Machado Garry did his thing and looked really, really impressive. So there was that. I really enjoyed Cody Stamann versus Douglas De Silva de Andrade. There is, controversy over that fight, but that's a fun fight. And even Carlos Ulberg versus Ior Patara, it was short, it was sweet, it was to the point, and it got the job done, I guess. The main event was also short and sweet to the point. So, there wasn't too much. There wasn't too many bad fights on this card. There really wasn't anything that I found painful to watch. The lone exceptions to that would be like, okay, Carl Williams and Chase Sherman at points got pretty painful. And then the Jiyoung Kim versus Mandy Bohm crap fest was pretty painful. There were some other disappointing fights like Jessica Rose Clark versus Tainara Lisboa. Although I suppose you could say like the Lisboa beating Jessica Rose Clark, spoiler, we'll get to that later, would be an example of a fight that actually went probably according to plan, if we're being entirely honest, because the UFC really, at 35 years old, it's not like Jessica Rose Clark is, a star that they're trying to build around. I do think that she was someone that they needed to rehabilitate, but hey, they probably get more mileage out of Lisboa. So, that's cool, I guess. But I don't know. I still found that a bit of a painful fight. But anyways, let's get into this. Right off the start of the card, we had this weird John Anik, "We do not take your viewership for granted" line. And yes, you do. The UFC has been putting on increasingly unimpressive cards, increasingly less quality, and more of it, more quantity, less quality cards, and relying on like the brand to just bring people to the yard, so to speak. And I you know what? I'm not saying it's not working. I'm just saying don't piss in my ear and tell me it's raining. Because, yeah, you are taking it for granted. Main event, Jailton Almeida versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Outside of Rozenstruik fending off the first takedown, I think landing maybe like 2 or 3 strikes. Actually, I'd be interested. How many does UFC stats claim that he actually landed? That would be intriguing. They gave him 0 actually. Wow. Okay. I thought he landed like 2 in that first. Well, okay. They gave him 3 strikes, just nothing significant. I thought he landed something in that like first charge for the takedown, but oh well. Not that it's a big deal. But Almeida got the takedown on the second try. The only critique I can really have of Almeida is that there's no ground and pound threat from him, really. Like, his ground and pound is very, very, very limited. And it does feel like that's an element of his game that if he's going to be a champion, and he may, I want to be clear on this, he may be a champion at both 205 and heavyweight, potentially. That's an area that probably does need to get slightly better. But, like, dude is very good at taking the back. He got there with Rozenstruik. Took a little bit, but he got there. Got the rear naked choke. Got the job done. And another first-round stoppage for him, and he's probably got himself a top 10 ranking now. I've got him against Alexander Volkov next because Volkov is a strike-first heavyweight who actually is a capable grappler. Like, we have seen visual evidence that he can wrestle and grapple. Something Rozenstruik did not have. And that would, I think, be the appropriate step up. And for Rozenstruik, just do fun fights. Tai Tuivasa comes to mind. 2 guys who really want to stand and bang, have knockout power, have chins, are probably more hyped strikers than actually quality strikers. And what I mean by that is that if you watch them strike, there's not a ton of technical depth. There's not a ton of much, really. But they go out there, they have fun fights. And why not do that? Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker. I want to like Johnny Walker. I do. I think that, like, if you think about Johnny Walker for a second here, he at some point realized I'm a really good athlete, but I don't have the greatest chin in the world. I don't have a cement head. I don't have a lot of technical depth. I need to go somewhere that is going to deepen my technicality, make me a safer fighter, admittedly a less exciting fighter, but a more successful one. And had he chosen a number of camps, he probably would be really, really good. And I probably would feel very excited for a lot of his upcoming fights. But he chose SBG Ireland. And realistically, they have taught him to be more patient, to be more low kick heavy, to value body work a little bit more. These are all good things. But I still don't think that there's a tremendously effective style in there. Like, I do think my initial read on this fight, and I went back on this read, so I'm not claiming this was my pick or whatever. I lost this fight. I picked Anthony Smith to win. But my nervousness was Anthony Smith against a guy with more reach than him and more height than him really isn't a great rangefinder. And the reason I picked Smith to win still is I thought, okay, but he'll make Walker uncomfortable enough at range. Walker's old stuff will come out. He'll get wild. And he did a couple of times. There were a couple of times where, like, he would start throwing wheel kicks and there wasn't really a lot of setup stuff. And it was kind of really, really physically impressive, but technically stupid. And Smith would make him pay a little bit there, but he didn't finish him. And then Walker would kind of go back to, okay, feints and movement, which his corner was repeating as a mantra, particularly headed into the third round. I don't love that because I don't think Walker is actually very good at feinting. When he feints a hook, it's really slow and just, it doesn't look like when he's at all throwing a shot, and there shouldn't really honestly be a reaction to it. I'm not saying that in any way that, like, it hurt him in this fight, but it's something that, like, kind of long term is like, if it's going to be a feint heavy game, the feints really actually have to be way better. But he hurt Smith badly in the first and in the third round, really badly in the third round. I should be clear. The commentary team would have you believe that he was absolutely destroying Smith's legs in the second round. Yes and no. Like, he was it's a light heavyweight fight where he landed 40 plus low kicks by the end of it. That is not fun. I would not sign up for that. You would have to pay me a lot of money to take 40 kicks from Johnny Walker to my calves. But I do think that they oversold them just a scooch. Like, they were talking, like, from, like, the second one onwards, like, oh my, I can't believe Anthony Smith is still moving. I'm like, I mean, the first one was okay, but the second one was, like, kind of really a slapping kick, just kind of following up. They're not amazing, but, like, if you're going to be able to do it, and he's going to be able to do it, because he's the main problem with throwing low kicks, you compromise your stance, you allow yourself open to being rushed, to being countered, and Walker being 6'6", I do believe, and having a ridiculous reach means that a lot of that is just insulated from. It's tall man. It's tall man defense by virtue of being tall. And he can land those kind of at will. And he did. He picked apart at Smith's legs. He's picked apart at Smith's body a little bit. I can't believe Daniel Cormier still talks about, like, Anthony Smith getting a takedown with, like, 70 seconds left in the round and is like, does this win Smith the round back in the first round? And it's like, no, he doesn't. He didn't land much. He didn't do much with the top position at all. And I mean, not for nothing. Walker actually got back up and took him down in the last 10 seconds anyways. So that's just insane. I mean, pulling up the stats here, and the stats are not everything. They're poorly tracked, whatever, but, like, 29-10, 31-18, 33-10. Those were the striking numbers. I scored all 3 rounds for Walker. I actually don't mind the second round going to Smith. One of the judges did give it to him. I can see the argument. That was the one round where he kind of actually found some range and landed some, like, really nice straight / overhand punches where, like, he would really rock Walker's head back. Like, it was the one round where Smith seemed to hurt Walker. And in a situation where we're very much talking about damage as a primary criteria, that was fine. And it was the round where I thought Walker achieved by far the least in terms of damage. A lot of his strikes were limited more to the legs, those low kicks I was talking about, and so on. And, it was also, not for nothing, the closest round in terms of strikes. It was plus 13 in Walker's favor, plus 18 in the first round, plus 23 in the second round. That's insignificant strikes. Total strikes were slightly closer in round 1, plus 16, and it was plus 29 in favor of Walker in overall strikes in round 3. So, it was his best round. If you're going to give him a round, it was the round where he found Walker's head and managed to do some things. But it's kind of weird with Anthony Smith because part of me wants him to just retire. Like, there was a point in this fight where he was talking about, "You're attacking my family." And as far as I can tell, there's nothing Walker said. Like, there's no personal beef. I assume this was just Smith trying to hype himself up to get in the mood. Like you're attacking my family in the sense that, like, you're trying to take money off my table, which Smith is trying to do the exact same thing to Walker. So, I mean, it's a delusional, nonsensical, like, mindset, but whatever you need to do to get in there to punch a guy. He's getting old. He did not look good in this fight. He did not look good against Ankalaev. Admittedly, got hurt against Ankalaev, but did not look good against Ankalaev. He had the Glover fight, which was horrifying. He had the Rakic fight that was horrifying. But then he comes back and, like, has good fights with, like, Devin Clark and Jimmy Crute and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this guy. Like, is he done? I don't know. Who did I pencil in for him to fight next? I penciled in Dominic Reyes, which, should tell you what I'm thinking about this whole thing, because it's a fight that has some name value. Two guys that fought. John Jones back at the time when John Jones wasn't really good. Like, anyone who watched specifically the Smith fight will just come away with thinking that, like, Smith and Jones had a shitty fight. But on paper, he fought John Jones into the championship rounds. And Reyes, actually probably did beat him and has looked terrible since. I don't know. It's a marketable fight that hopefully one of them looks good in. I don't even know who's more likely. And for Walker, I've got Jan Blachowicz, because my big question with Walker, and they're probably going to give him a title shot against Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska winner. That does seem to be where they're going with the promotion. And it seems like the fans are okay with that. I'm not really. I mean, he already lost to Hill. I don't really fancy that rematch. And I don't fancy him getting a title shot off of this. I don't. If you put him in there with Blachowicz, granted, Blachowicz is an old guy. He has the same problems as the Smith fight of a guy who definitely is past his prime, but it's a stylistic matchup where, like, Jan at least is good at punishing kicks. Jan will either will convince me that Walker can just lackadaisically kick anybody, option 1, or option 2, Walker will show deeper reserves of how to make his game work beyond just the long kicking game. Or option 3, he loses to Jan, and I mean, we end up building on towards a title shot, which I don't know, I guess has about as much momentum to it. So that's what I would do. Ian Garry wrecked Daniel Rodriguez. This was the first time he's really impressed me. Like, up until this point, despite everyone telling me otherwise, I have just been unable to get on the Ian Garry bandwagon. Now, I did pick him to win this fight. I was like, all right, this might be the one that shows me. And it kind of did. He hit, landed a nice head kick. He was really punishing Rodriguez for entries into the pocket. Anytime. Now, part of that was Rodriguez not being tight at all. Like, there was a lot of loose lunges into the pocket that were just not good form, not good technique. But Garry still made him pay for all of those. Active kicking game. He's a tall guy. He's a long guy. He can get away with that with a lot of people. Just, basically picking at their legs. Kind of, honestly, doing the Johnny Walker thing. a little bit. I do like the fact that he's talking about like going to work with Izzy Adesanya maybe over at City Kickboxing and talking about kind of being a bit of a nomad trainer. You know, I got my guys at Kill Clip, but I'm looking for other things. I'm looking for ways to improve my game. I like that. I've said this. If he could stop the Conor McGregor stuff, I probably would feel a lot better about him. Like, this is one of the few times where, like, it's, I don't want to say it's an emotional thing, because I always say, like, I don't find, like, there are fighters that I cannot stand as human beings that I know are good at fighting, are good at fisticuffs and violence, and will pick them, and will bet money on them, and will predict them to win titles. And there are guys that I really, really like. I've met them or just get a really good vibe off them, whatever it is. And I just know that they're also not that great. And I don't pick them. So I don't generally have a problem with that. I think with Garry, it's that just be comfortable in your own skin. Like, don't try to be the next Conor McGregor, because you won't be. There will not be a next Conor McGregor, because, you know, just like there's not a next Ronda Rousey, there's not a next John Jones. You got to be you. You're not going to be the next GSP, Conor McGregor, whatever. You can be a similar size star to those guys. I doubt it. But theoretically, you could. But it's not by being Conor. It's by being Ian Machado Garry and being a fun fighter to watch in the cage, which is undoubtable. And honestly, when he stops doing the McGregor stick, it's actually, you know, he seems like a cool dude. He seems like a guy I want to root for. And he, you know, didn't knock out Rodriguez, I think technically. This TKO, I would think, is the appropriate term. But hit him with a really nice, clean head kick. Put him down, ground and pound him out. Boom, done. There you go. Called out Neil Magny. I'm fine with that as a matchup. But I like him versus Kevin Holland. Are you with me? That feels really fun, really marketable, really like that. That's a fight night co-main event. You know what? I would go as far as say this. You could do that as a fight night main event, and I would not complain. I might complain about the card still, because I'm going to complain about any fight night that is one fight. But it would probably engender a lot of like goodwill. And I don't even like Holland. Holland to me is like is very annoying. But he's fun to watch fight. Gary's fun to watch fight, and it's appropriate for like the rankings position. So I'd be fine with that. And for Rodriguez, I thought he had fought Chaos Williams already. He hasn't. Please do that fight. Do Daniel Rodriguez versus Chaos Williams. In fact, I am so concerned that they have fought and I'm still just not seeing it here, that I am pulling up Daniel Rodriguez's record. Machado Garry, Magny, Lee, Kevin Lee, Parsons, Perry, Dalby, Grant, Gabe Green, Tim Means. No, he has not. Yeah, give me that. Give me Chaos Williams, Daniel Rodriguez. You can put it on the same fight card. There you go. There you go. I like it. I like it a lot. It was a good performance. I will still say this. I'm still not on the bandwagon that Garry is a transcendent talent. There are people that are still on social media trying to convince me that he is a, for lack of a better term, because I don't think they're really going this far, but almost a once-in-a-lifetime talent. And to me, he's not that. He just isn't. But this was the first fight where I went, you know what? There's still a little bit of a defensive issue he has as far as right hooks are concerned. Just seems kind of blind to them a little bit, like they hit him a little bit flush. But, you know, I trust that he's well-rounded, that he can do the grappling stuff and the striking stuff. He's got good mastery of range. He's got good timing. He's got good perception, again, outside of right hooks. And he's a really, really good fighter. And I could see him fighting for a title. I could even see him winning it for a title. Because, I mean, let's face it, looking at this welterweight division right now, Colby Covington's fighting for a title. Bilal Muhammad is the guy who should be fighting for a title. And boy, oh boy, do neither of those convince me as fighters. So there you go. Maybe he will be. I do kind of worry. I do think he compares relatively poorly to like a Shavkat Rachmanov, though. That I guess would be my problem with seeing him as a champion. Because I see him getting to the belt, fighting like Rachmanov when Rachmanov to me is the future champion, and just getting beaten there. But hey, we'll see. He's finally creating a little bit of a believer out of me. Ior Potara versus Carlos Ulberg. Potara got smoked. He did come out here looking for a takedown. It was terrible. He dove straight into... He landed like a big overhand left, and then he goes for like a big winging right, and Ulberg just is like check hook, boom, face plant, beat you up, walk away like a king, stop the beating. Dominic Cruz freaking out on Keith Peterson for basically letting Ulberg stop the fight. I will make no secret about this. I hate Dominic Cruz's commentary. I like his analyst. I like his analytical brain. Don't get me wrong, but like, we're going to talk about the his obsession with cuts later. But like, this fight was like the example of this. Like, he can't contain his hatred for Keith Peterson, and it's like, get over it, my guy. And he also can't like forget that like at some point some commission prevented him from wearing ankle wraps. That even when like John Anik is like, all right, I researched the rule, knee wraps are a commission by commission thing, because Potara was wearing knee pads that we're talking about it. And that's a commission by commission thing, which is stupid, but like, okay. But like, ankle wraps are allowed in any commission. And Cruz is like, no, they made me cut it off once, like when I was fighting for a title. And like when Cruz was fighting for a title means, I don't know. Let's have a look here. When did he last fight for a title? I'm assuming to be honest, I'm assuming it's probably the Cejudo fight he's even talking about, which, you know, as we know from Cejudo returning, you know, was 3 years ago. Yeah, we're talking about at least 3 years ago. Like, let it go, my guy. Let it go. I know you're bitter about losing the belt, but let it go. Let it go. For Ulberg, I've got the winner of Khalil Roundtree and Chris Daukaus. Ill-advised 205 move, I think. And for Potara, I've got a winner of the Vitor Petrino Marcin Prachnio fight. Just because I think that you can feed him. You've got him as the guy who beat Shogun. I didn't like that. I didn't enjoy that because I saw this coming. I said it in the preview. I'm like, man, why didn't they just do like Shogun Ulberg? That would have made a lot more sense. And then you have Ulberg to push and try and do stuff instead of just trying to like kind of take whatever heat that gave Potara and shove it on another guy. I don't know. He's got moderate levels of success going right, or of heat. Put him up against Prachnio winner. Particularly if it's Petrino. If it's Prachnio, I don't know if I want to see that fight. But because I have no faith in Marcin Prachnio. Tim Means and Alex Morono. Pretty good first round. Pretty good. I gave it to Morono by a small measure. Let's see here. Did he outland him? Because I was basically, my live interpretation was that Means landed more strikes, but Morono landed a little bit more quality. Apparently, according to the official numbers, it was 34-27 and 32-18 and 6 strikes. Maybe I need to rethink that and go with Tim Means on that one. Means looked fine. We're going to be talking this a lot because we've also got Matt Brown and Court McGee to talk about. But like 39-year-old Tim Means still looked kind of like Tim Means. Morono landed some good shots, and then in the second round wrapped him up with a guillotine choke and boom, boom, bang. And I was like, oh man, I feel really good for Alex Morono. I really like Alex Morono. I'm a big fan. And then he had to go and like, thank you, Dana White, for this platform. We are nothing without Dana White. Oh my God, please give me a bonus. I hated that part. Because here's the thing. I am not going to deny Dana White's importance in building the sport into the billion-dollar juggernaut that the UFC is now. If any one person deserves credit for that, it is him. Although, personally, I would also put the Fertitta brothers, the fighters, and so on. Like, I wouldn't put it all on Dana. But if you're obsessed with putting it on a singular person, fine, Dana. But let's not act like this was an altruistic thing that you got to thank a guy for, because he became a millionaire, if not a billionaire, in the process. In fact, I'm curious now. If I look up Dana White net worth, do I get an answer that's like estimated 500 million? And that was in 2019, mind you, which is before the UFC started making $1 billion a year. So it's probably higher now. A salary of 20 million a year is what he's taking home. That's his salary. You also have like evaluation of the stock and dividends and so on. Like, guys, fans, fighters, don't care who you are. Boom. Realize this. Dana White is incredibly well compensated for his time, his efforts, his labors, his blood. You know who isn't? The fighters. There you go. That's the only real fighter pay rant I got. For Morono, I would love to see him fight Brian Battle. It's lazy because Battle fought on the card below, but like I don't know if this win elevates him because Means is 39 years old. He still looks good. Like Means still actually does look good, but he is 39 years old. He is on a 2-fight skid. I'm not sure if this elevates Morono. And Morono is the exact kind of guy that I actually would like to see Brian Battle have to fight. Someone with some depth, some technical nuance, the ability to game plan, the ability to give different looks and a lot of different challenges. I am good with that. That to me is perfect. I don't know who I want to see Tim Means fight because we are in that point where like I would kind of just like him to retire. For a number of reasons. I would like the idea that a 39-year-old fighter has made enough, who has fought in the UFC for a long time, it should be mentioned. Long time. Has enough money to retire, has enough money to avoid more CTE, and that the sport doesn't really need him because he's given what he's got to give. That's why I'm not interested in it. It's also that, like, as much as he still looks like Tim Means, we're going to talk about two guys later. One guy specifically who does not look like he used to. But, you know, he does look like Tim Means. He's not sad for me to watch, but he's just not enthralling. It's not like you can put Tim Means up against an up-and-comer and I'm going to be like, this is a really great challenge. And without question is going to be something I learn about this kid from. When really it could just be Tim Means getting flatlined. And like, that doesn't necessarily mean much. He is getting hurt more than he used to. Like, the chin is going. The cardio is going a little bit. And he doesn't have a terribly safe style. So, you know, there's that problem. Matt Brown, Court McGee. Matt Brown flatline Court McGee pretty quickly. I thought this would happen. You know, Court McGee pancaked him to the mat. Couldn't hold him down. Did hold clinch for a little bit. But Brown got range. Overhand right. Boom. No follow-up. Very classy. Very nice. Matt Brown apparently is not retiring because he's talking about going for the UFC record of KOs. Why not, I guess? But like he very much does fit into the same mold as Tim Means, where it's like he's even older. He's 42. And sure, he still is dangerous. Like he's still doing his thing. Like he can still do exactly this. But like the cardio is failing. The activity is failing. And it's just not going to get better. We've seen the best he can offer. It was really high. Like, he was in title contention at one point. He's still fun, but I find myself less looking forward to them. If he is going to fight again, I got Santiago and Ponzinibbio as a opponent for him. I think Pons is a guy in a very, very, very similar boat. It's almost kind of like this senior circuit thing going on right now that, I mean, you could do Tim Means versus Court McGee on. That'd be fine. I guess that's my pick. But with Court, I really do want to see him retire because the problem with Court is that he is a pressure into wrestling guy. He is always going to get hit a fair amount. Even in his prime, even when he wasn't even fast, but when he was faster, he's even slower now and the chin is gone. I'm not really interested in it, but if you want to do him versus Tim Means in a retirement fight, similar to Zach Cummins and Ed Herman, make a big deal about it because these two guys have a lot. Like, Ed Herman's got a lot, don't get me wrong, but like, these two guys have a lot of goodwill moments in their history. Let them go through that. They're also redemption stories because Tim Means is a former criminal. Court McGee is a former drug addict who I do believe overdosed and is one of the 3 members of the UFC Zombie Squad. Matt Brown is another one. So, there you go. Tim Means, Court McGee, double retirement fight. Let him go out there. You know what? I'm going to go even a little bit further. Let them have no drug testing for it and see what happens. There you go. That would be fun. Carl Williams defeated Chase Sherman. I was impressed with his utilization of the jab. I was unimpressed with Sherman's inability to defend said jab. I was impressed with Sherman's ability to stop takedowns. I was unimpressed with Williams' ability to set up takedowns, and in the end, it's a very lukewarm result. I guess it's the best I could expect because Chase Sherman is definitely in that sad guy category. And despite a really kind of not great moment with his coaches after the first round where they're asking him if he's in there, he came out and he fought, hard for 15 minutes. There's that. I don't know. I guess this is the best I can feel after this fight. It's just not great. Williams, I've got Waldo Cortez Acosta. That would be a step up from this fight. I guess it's a little bit more of a dangerous fight. And I still don't know who I want to see Sherman fight because I still don't know if I want to see Sherman fight. Cody Stamann versus Douglas Da Silva de Andrade. I think this fight boils down to how you saw the first round. Or I guess how you saw the third round. Because a lot of people were annoyed that Stamann lost his fight. And I don't agree. Now, to be clear, I can totally get a 28-28 scorecard here. Stamann had a great third round. He hurt Andrade a number of times. He really controlled things. And it was only at the very end where Andrade, very beginning and very end where Andrade had any real offense. My problem with scoring it at 10-8 is that has not been a 10-8 round generally. A 10-8 round has required more than what Stamann did. Stamann had the best round of any 3. His strike differential, hang on, let's quote the stats. We got them. We might as well make use of them. They paint kind of the picture. Is that Stamann, who was outlanded in this fight, by the way, 61-54 in 6 strikes and 72-66 overall, outlanded him 26-17 and 38-28. Those were the biggest differences in any round in the third round. My problem is that there were people who were saying that the first round was close or a robbery to give to Andrade. And to me, that is ludicrous. Andrade landed more strikes, was the more active fighter in round 1. And to be clear, I am not just saying land a punch, land a punch, land a punch, and we add up the punches at the end. That's who won. No. I am saying that Andrade, a more noted heavy hitter, a guy who loads up a lot more on his punches, which is why he gasses out, outlanded Stamann, who is a notably not particularly heavy puncher, to be honest. He really only hurts people when they kind of run into his counters. Has, I think, 1 finish in the UFC via strikes, which was the Eddie Wineland fight. We made a huge deal about him knocking out Eddie Wineland in 2022, I do believe. And that is the basis of any power idea of Stamann. He does not hit as hard, and he got hit more. Yes, he got a takedown, which Andrade then threw an up kick, and they got stood up, and no point was taken, and that was bullshit. But that's not the judge's job. If you want to say the referee robbed Cody Stamann, I'm still not sure I can co-sign it because maybe Andrade gets back up. It's not like Andrade is it's not like Stamann is a league's better grappler. than Andrade. Andrade is hard to hold down. But that would make more sense. The judges cannot give Stamann credit for a bad call by the judges or by the ref. A bad stand-up by the ref. They can't do that. You cannot score the first round anything but 10-9 Andrade. You cannot score the second round anything but 10-9 Andrade. You could score the third round 10-9 Stamann, or if you really stretch it, 10-8 Stamann, which would be a draw. Stamann is going to appeal this. I have no problem with that. It was a good fight. I wish him all the luck because, if he's appealing based on the ref, I would like that looked at. But I don't actually think the judges made the wrong call here. You know me. I will jump on the judges. I will jump down their throat. I will strangle their guzzards. But there wasn't an argument for Andrade to lose 2 rounds. And I don't think it lines up with the 10-8s as they are now. There was a point where that would have been a 10-8. But I believe because the betting lines really didn't like the ideas of draws, they did not like the betting public getting draws, I imagine. And 10-8s in a 3-round fight do allow for a lot of draw opportunities. And at some point, the notice was out that, no, we are going to kind of go back to the old 10-8s where you basically have to kill someone. Stamann didn't do that. Stamann did not do that. But this is a fantastic fight. Go watch it. I like a lot of what Stamann's developing. He's actually becoming really good. I don't know if I like him going up to featherweight because he's going to be a 5'6" featherweight, which, Volkanovski is. So, it could work. And I get it, dude. That dude has thighs. Oh my God. They're huge. I get where the weight is. And this is a fun fight. And I'm always here for Andrade fights because Andrade is the king what if of bantamweight. Where what if this guy wasn't so poor that his way of training was lifting cinder blocks in his backyard? What if there was an actual coaching staff around him when he was younger? Because he's 37 now and he has a coaching staff, but that's too late. And it came a little bit a while ago. But it came in his 30s. If in his 20s he had a legitimate coaching staff, that dude's terrifying. That dude is a beast, a monster. I got Andrade versus Javid Basharat for his next fight. I think that's fun. I think Cody Stamann versus Julio Arce would be so much fun between two kind of underrated guys in the division. Go for it. The thing is this card outside of these first 3 fights went really good for me. I won 6-2 out of the last 8 fights, but I went 0-3 to start the fights, and that was ended with this Jeon Kim Mandy Boom fight. This was a mess. I have nothing positive to say about this fight. It was kind of crap. It was Bohm doing her best. In fairness, I'm more annoyed with Kim because number one, Kim fouled Bohm twice. At the end of the second round, she kicked her off of her after she was getting up, to be clear. Bohm, in my opinion, did nothing to warrant getting kicked. And that happened. And that caused a point deduction. And then in the third round, Kim illegally kneed her. I didn't think this actually deserved a point deduction because it was her first foul during the action of the fight. And I've said this before, I am fine if this is the level of foul of point taking. It just hasn't been. It's kind of weird because we see fights and we saw a fight. My brain is. The Smith Walker fight. Walker kicked him in the balls and gave him a face wash with his open fist, which you're not supposed to do. And there really wasn't even a solid warning there. There wasn't even a hard warning. So that's what I mean when I say not super down with this point deduction. But hey, I still thought Kim won because I thought she won the first. I thought she won all 3 rounds. Long story short, Bohm could not continue. We could speculate all day whether she could have continued or not continued. I'm not going to really throw too much out there. Did I think the knee looked that solid? No, but I have no idea where she was otherwise. Maybe she was having blurry vision, whatever. And to be clear here, it doesn't matter because she took a technical decision that she may not have won. Like, to be clear, it's not like she took a way out of this fight that was like a surefire victory. It was not. She knew it was going to the cards, and to be clear, there was not a clear round that she won at any point. She did end up getting the split decision win. I still disagree with that. I don't think Boom won, but I also have no sympathy for Lee, I'm messing up her last name, aren't I? Kim, not Lee. Kim. Ji-Young Kim. I really don't. I don't really care. Also, DC was terrible on commentary here. There was a whole conspiracy theory that he seemed to be like going through. It was weird. It was weird. I don't care who either of these girls fight because Kim has lost 5 in a row, cut her, and Bohm is not good. And they're in a division where they don't need this dead weight. Like that's more the thing. If this were bantamweight or featherweight, whatever, you're trying to make a division out of those two things, and it's a shallow pool of talent. No, these are both like flyweights. Cut them. We don't need them. You've got good flyweights. You have got good like that is a division. Strawweight and flyweight have okay depth. It's not amazing, but it's okay. You can be selective. Brian Battle deaded Gabe Green like in 13 seconds. Green, I don't know what he was thinking. He like just swarmed in, hands down, chin open, boom. Crowd got a great moment because Battle is from the area, Charlotte. I'm not sure if he's from Charlotte or if he just trains there, but anyways, like he's deeply connected with Charlotte, and he got the job done. Like I said earlier, put him against Morono. He failed weight here. That's a big upgrade for him still. Gabe Green, Miguel Baeza in a battle of two guys that at one point I was like kind of excited about. And in Baeza's case, I've completely lost that excitement. In Green's case, I have largely lost that excitement. Anyways. And then, yeah, Jessica Rose Clark versus Tainara Lisboa. Lisboa, I don't know what to make of the fight, honestly, because Jessica Rose Clark just looked bad. Like, Lisboa looks strong. Looks like she has decent striking form, whatever. She does not move her head, though, at all. And it seemed like really what happened here is that Clark had no confidence wrestling her, probably because she's been armbarred in her last 2 fights. And Clark had no confidence striking with her, pretty much from the hop. So this fight was more about like Jessica Rose Clark being done, which is sad because I really enjoyed her fights. I really did. But it doesn't look like she's put it together mentally. She talked about retiring for a long time when she hit 35. She's trying out like different camps. She's moved a couple of times now, I think. I don't have a desire to see her. And this also was the fight where like Rose Clark cut Lisboa, and commentary is specifically Dom Cruz again is like, well, Lisboa's got to cut her back because she's gonna lose otherwise. And I mean, she won by a rear naked choke, but like she was way out on the cards. There was not a round that Clark won in this fight. No. Is Lisboa any good? I still don't know. She's fought Cans and the ghost of Jessica Rose Clark. I'm intrigued to see more, I guess. And I've got her lined up with Jamie Lee and Horth. Because that's kind of the bottom of the division. Still. I don't know. Still weird feelings about that fight. Thank God we didn't get Pete Rodriguez versus Natan Levy. That was the king fight of, I don't know what to think of this fight. That ended up getting canceled because Rodriguez botched his weight cut. Which is a problem for him because he's 5'9". If he has to fight it at welterweight, that's gonna be a hard time. Because like Jeremiah Wells can get away with that because he's a golem, but Rodriguez is not that. So that's the fight card. Hope you enjoyed. I really have no fun. I didn't even watch Bellator. Bellator has put itself behind a paywall here in Canada, and a pretty expensive one at that. $19.95 for a 7-week pass to Bellator? No, thank you, sir. No, thank you. If Bellator 360 was going to cost me something like Fight Pass does, I'd consider it. I would think about it. But this just feels like a cash grab attempt to sell the promotion. Hopefully to owners that are going to capitalize on what Bellator has. Because they just have not been doing that lately. They've been doing it a little bit, but I don't know. There's a lot of decisions that are penny smart, dollar stupid that Bellator is doing. Anyways, that's it. That's done. We'll see you next time. And that's about it. I really have nothing else to add. Check the links down below or to the left, to the right, above, whatever. Wherever the description is, check out the links there, particularly Discord. We're doing some cool things with the Fight Simulator, and you should check it out.